your first One Show of the Week, live on BBC One and iPlayer with me. Yes, just me. Alex Scott should be with me, but unfortunately she's been hit, like so many, with that dreaded super cold. So get well soon, Scott. You can't wait to have you back. But she might not be with me tonight, but I'm in top company because we've got some great guests. One is a national treasure and former Bond girl. We've got a comedy genius who's about to go time travelling, and a West End legend and broadcaster. Please welcome Joanna Lumley, John Bishop and Michael Ball. That's not bad welcome, is it? John, we actually revealed recently on the show this week the surprise squad that we're going to be doing with Children in Need, and we're going to be meeting our latest member. There he is, Nathan. But you've actually surprised us all recently, haven't you? You've been keeping a big secret under your lid recently with the old appearance that you're going to be making in Doctor Who. You're going to be part of the new series.
Yeah.
But you had your own unique way, apparently, of kind of researching the role with your mate Bradley Walsh.
Well, it wasn't so much researching the role, because what happened is I got the role, but I got told I couldn't tell anyone I had the role. And then this was a couple of days before I did Soccer Aid with Bradley Walsh. And obviously he'd been in it for two years. And so we were sat having breakfast one morning, and I started going, Bradley, just, Doctor Who, what was it like when you were in it? Tell me about the characters. What's the writing like? What's the rehearsal process like? And what's it like living in Cardiff anyway? I didn't know you were a fan. He said, I've been in it for 2 years. You've never mentioned it. I said, yeah, I've just never built up the courage before, Bradley, to tell you.
Oh, I got there at the end. So keeping secrets wasn't easy, basically.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where you're desperate to tell everyone, but also, you know what it's like when you've been given a role until you do it.
Yeah.
Like even now, it's on at the end of the month. I don't know if anyone's going to like it. I don't know what it looks like, because obviously you do it without seeing it. So you kind of want to tell people and also want to surprise them. In the same way that you've been building up to doing your one-man show.
A little bit like that, yeah. Well, Joanna, from Bond to DiCaprio, to Ken Barlow, let's not forget Ken.
Absolutely.
You must have had to keep a few secrets of your own.
The biggest secret I had to keep wasn't unlike John's, actually, which was that when I got the part in the New Avengers, it was supposed to be kept deadly secret. And so I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. I told...
Famous hairdo.
That's me. There I am, Purdy with the haircut, Steed on the left, Gambit on the right.
Lovely.
My two beloved friends, both gone now. But anyway, I had to keep it absolutely deadly quiet. I told my parents, and that was about all. And I had to go to some training and everything, so suddenly I'm beginning to look rather fit. People think, why is she fit? Why is she up at 5 every morning and doing this Olympic crash course training? And then on the day at the Dorchester Hotel with a Rolls Royce, it was announced to the world. And it was a big deal in those days, you know what I mean? It's long before you were born, darling. Ask your parents about it.
You look great in the picture, that's all I know. Michael, I'm guessing you're terrible at keeping secrets, yeah? Am I right?
How would you know?
Am I right? Yeah, I thought I might be. John,
I'm that kind of person who says, look, I'm only going to tell you, I can't tell anybody else.
That's why I said it. That's exactly why I said it.
You do it on the radio. I've heard you do it.
Let's not tell him anything tonight then, shall we? John, Joanna, I can't wait to be talking to you a lot more throughout the show. And if you'd like to join in our conversation at home, then please get in touch in all of the usual ways. Now, there's been a lot of talk today about whether we need more COVID restrictions in the UK. COVID passports are at the top of the list in Scotland because this weekend they came into force in some venues. So Kevin Dwala went to see what people think of them.
19-year-old student Molly is getting ready for a night out in Edinburgh. Tonight, though, she has something else to remember.
I've got my phone, my bag, and don't forget your COVID passport.
If anyone is planning to visit a nightclub or a large event here in Scotland, then you're going to have to provide proof you've been double jabbed. Now, that can be either by using an app on your smartphone or a paper certificate. They've been dubbed COVID passports. The new rules apply to late-night venues with music, alcohol and dancing. And this is the first Friday night in Scotland that the new policy is legally enforced. Were you already vaccinated before this deadline?
Yeah, I've been vaccinated for a while. Most of my friends are vaccinated because the clubs have started opening, so...
Do you think it's a good idea?
I really don't know yet. I'll see tonight what it's like.
Molly is heading with her friends to Club Tropicana in central Edinburgh. It's owned by Tony Cochrane. Are you a bit apprehensive about it?
We just don't know how many people will turn up with the passports. And it also causes problems on the door because we have to then create a much longer queue than would normally be. I mean, I'll encourage everybody to be vaccinated, but I think this is the wrong method of use.
Outside, we see one clubber without a COVID passport being turned away. She tells me she's been double jabbed, but not in time for the proof of that to come through.
Do you not get in tonight?
No, it's rubbish.
So COVID passports then, do you think it's a good idea or not?
Personally, not at all, because I feel we've all been fully vaxxed, and because I got mine a couple of days after them, I can't go in.
But everyone else in the queue seems to have a COVID passport.
I done it through my work, but it was also to get into clubs as well. I'm double vaxxed myself, but I think it's against your human rights.
But obviously it's put in place, isn't it, to help prevent the spread of COVID?
I didn't agree with it.
I've got it downloaded on my phone as an app, and it's really simple.
A similar scheme has just been introduced in Wales, but there, proof of a recent negative test can be used as an alternative.
And with the risk of rising infection rates over the winter months, COVID passports remain an option for the government to introduce in England and Northern Ireland. And outside Scotland, nighttime bosses are watching on closely. Julie Brown owns the Deja Vu bar in Carlisle.
From a personal point of view, I don't have a problem with them. From a business point of view, I think it will be hard work. Your door staff are your first point of contact. They are also dealing with checking proof of age. They've got a lot to deal with as it is. I think it will ruin a lot of businesses.
The Scottish Government says COVID passports are a proportionate way of encouraging people to get vaccinated and of helping large events and nighttime hospitality to keep operating during what could be a very difficult winter. Linda Bald, a professor of public health from Edinburgh University, agrees they are necessary.
We are in a period where cases are rising in Scotland, and I think it is about reducing risk, and it's absolutely the case that people may be more socialising indoors, including in these venues, during the winter months.
Back at Club Tropicana, attendance is down 25% on the previous week. But for Molly and her friends, it's been a good night.
So how was it in there?
It was much quieter than usual, especially for a Friday night. To be fair, I feel much safer when I'm out because I know to get into the club you need to be vaccinated.
There's no doubt COVID passports are controversial, but within the coming weeks and months, if they prove to reduce significantly the spread of COVID here in Scotland, there may be pressure to introduce them right across the UK.
Yeah, thank you, Kev. A lot of opinions there regarding COVID passports. But John, I want to talk to you now about Doctor Who. The news is out there, obviously. I'm sure you've done plenty of talking about it. But the pandemic, actually, it created the opportunity for you, didn't it?
Well, it did. I was approached by Chris Chibnall, who's the showrunner of Doctor Who, and he said he'd got a character in mind, and he thought I fitted the bill. Would be interested in doing it, and obviously I was flattered and we had the conversation, but the problem was that I was going on tour, my tour was already booked, so this conversation was taking place, I don't know, pre-COVID days, 2018, early 2019, and then when the first lockdown happened and the tour was suspended, I got in touch with him and just said, is there any chance, if you give the job to anyone else? Yeah. And fortunately, I had to go through a whole sort of...
This is what I wanted to know. Did you just get the call? Or is there like an audition process, even for you, John?
No, I mean, just like it took you months to get your own show. What happened? I'm going to smash it on that all night. No, what happened? I had to do an audition. But again, because of the world we've been living in, the first audition had to be on a Zoom call, so I did it on my mobile phone. But because I'm not a trained actor, I couldn't learn the lines. I stuck all the lines behind the phone on the wall, and I had the phone on blue tack on the wall. And then when I was thinking of a line, I just looked mysteriously away.
That's the one I'm looking for.
And then I had to go down to Cardiff and do a chemistry audition where you sort of see how you get on with Jodie as the doctor, which was because that was on the TARDIS. Yeah. So I thought if I don't get the job, at least I've been on the TARDIS.
Well, we'll get to see if you're any good here, John, actually, because we've got a lovely clip from Sunday's episode, the Halloween Apocalypse.
All right, lad. Trick or treat? No? You are?
How old are you?
What's the difference?
You're not even dressed up.
Yeah, well, neither are you.
You're just going round knocking on people's doors.
I heard you're not sweet.
Go on, get off it, yous. Don't be throwing eggs at my house.
I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, John, but you're just playing yourself there. I'm confused about what you've had to audition for.
That was me. That was me. I absorbed the character that much. I haven't left him yet.
Oh, okay.
This
It's that good.
This
is brilliant.
Basically, as an actor, I'm very good if the character happens to look and sound a lot like me. so I managed it.
It was
there.
pretty much written for you, wasn't it? But what is Dan, the character that you play, like?
How
does he fit in as well?
Well, he's basically, what's happened is the doctors ended up with Yaz, who's played by Amanda Gill, and they've been travelling the universe for the last couple of years after Graham and Tozen left, and so there's a gap, I suppose, on the TARDIS for another companion. And as a character, Dan is down on his luck, nice guy. You find him originally working in a soup kitchen, in a food bank, and he's just kind of a little bit lost soul, unlucky in love, unlucky in life, and then joins these two crazy people, goes on this mad adventure, and you see throughout the series that at the end he finds the strength to be the man he could possibly be.
Yeah, people can't wait to see it, John.
It's lovely. I've got to say, this man is a very, very good actor, but you knew that, Dwayne.
I did know, yeah. I did
Really rate him.
I want to be nice to him, so he's nice to me.
Yes.
So he looks after me for the
Well,
rest
so
of
do
the
I. I mean, you can see him just sucking up. He's quite a tough guy.
John, you're also back on tour, aren't you, as well? And
Yeah.
I love this idea that you're taking part in the Say Hello initiative.
Yeah.
What's the idea behind it?
Well, this has come from a mate of mine, a sort of hippie friend of mine who I met riding a bicycle back home from Australia in 1992, and he's just got a different view of life, and he did a campaign to try and get people off their mobile phones. He was walking through London to come and see me at the Palladium and noticed nobody's looked at him, nobody spoke to him. So we tried to get a campaign going where he'd get people getting their eyes off the phone and just talk to each other. And when he was living in Weymouth, he got it going. And I've kind of extended it to on the tour. So we started it last week, and it's basically a very simple thing. If people come to the gig, they get one of these badges, if they choose to, that says say hello. And you're basically saying to anyone in the room, if you want to say hello to me, I'll say hello back.
Perfect.
You don't have to give anything else, because the main thing is we've all missed people. And so you're at a gig, you're at a venue, you've all got something in common. So just break the ice and say hello.
Absolutely spot on.
I'm going to have that made very, very big, so older people like me can reach the beach without suddenly zooming into it.
Hello! How it works.
But it's lovely, isn't it?
It is.
But you know what? We started last week, and honestly, the audience reaction has been massive.
Yeah.
We've had to order another 10,000 badges.
No.
Wow.
Oh, good. Well, John's tour runs until April next year, and you can see him in the new series of Doctor Who this Sunday evening at 6:25 on BBC One. Now, last Thursday, we introduced you to the One Show Surprise Squad. They're our brand new fundraising team for this year's Children in Need. The squad is made up of 5 inspirational young people who've all been supported by BBC Children in Need and want to give back and lend a helping hand to benefit others. So tonight, we'd like to introduce you to our first member of the team, music fan Nathan. Here's his story.
Hi, I'm Nathan, I'm 17 and I'm from Swansea. I might describe myself as a bit of a joker. I don't take life very seriously. Every time I go to a gig, I get a t-shirt. My favourite band would probably be
Eminem.
I've listened to him consistently since I was probably about 8. Behind my mother's back, I'd chuck my headphones on and she wouldn't have a clue what I was on. I was listening to Katy Perry, man. What's up? I was diagnosed with ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia, when I was just under 14 by a few weeks.
I don't think there's much worse that you can hear, to be honest with you. I mean, it was devastating. It was devastating.
By this point, I'd lost 4 stone. I was in agony all the time. They said that there was so much cancer in my bones that they were going to pop or something.
Within the first 4 weeks of chemotherapy, he couldn't walk, he couldn't use his legs. There was constant fatigue and sickness like you could never imagine.
I hated my self-image completely. I ended up losing my hair. I would have people pointing at me in the street, making comments to their friends.
think the toughest thing for Nathan has been the loneliness, and that's probably the toughest thing to see as well, is see him look at his phone.
A lot of people sort of just stopped contacting me and stopped messaging me and stuff. I ended up in a very dark place.
Teenage Cancer Trust funds support events where young people come together from all over the UK. They share their experiences, they get to meet experts and get advice on issues such as employment, nutrition, fertility. But the biggest thing is about young people making lifelong friends, having fun, and just stepping outside of cancer just for a minute.
They make life more and you realise you're not the only one going through it. They do make you feel special.
Specialist events just wouldn't be possible without that funding through Children in Need, and to see the difference it makes for young people is massive.
And he came back and he was glowing like you would want a teenager to be. Oh, it was just so lovely to see that. It was as if like the light was back in him.
They've helped me out to like the nth degree. I don't think I could really repay them for what they've done for me. Being part of the surprise squad's just a bit mad, really. I'm incredibly excited and a little bit nervous at the same time. Oh, the group's brilliant. It feels like we don't know each other for years. I've been working on my fitness for the surprise squad, trying to get myself more mobile. I've been doing weights, I've been doing cardio, like a treadmill.
He's very practical. He'll get things done. He'll stand back for a second and he'll go, I don't think we should do it that way. I think we need to do it this way.
Oh, God!
He's always said as soon as he can give back, he's going to give back, and what better way to do it?
If you can make a donation this year to Children in Need Surprise Squads to help young people like myself, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, what an inspirational young man Nathan is. You know, I got to speak to him earlier as well. He's a great lad. He's been through so much, and you know, just to have it within himself to want to give back. You know, I've got to love that about Nathan. So, yeah, well done to him. The Surprise Squad want to help children in need and children in need charities in the way that they've been helped themselves. It's going to be really tough though. But together, they'll be working to surprise charities, helping with a range of ambitious projects that will really make the difference, I promise you. They'll plan them and deliver them within really tight schedules. It will take teamwork, loads of graft and creativity, but I can promise you now that these guys are gonna nail it. And all of this is, of course, to raise money for vital BBC Children in Need supported projects. Joanna, I want to talk to you about this brilliant book. Oh, sorry. Keep talking about this book. Joanna, can you do the honours for us, please?
I'd love to. I'd love to. This is how you can donate. To donate 5, 10, 20 or £30, text the word 5, 10, 20 or 30 to 70701.
Yeah, text will cost your donation plus your standard network message charge, and 100% of your donation will go to BBC Children in Need. You must be 16 or over and have the bill payer's permission. For full terms and conditions, more information, or to donate any amount online, please visit bbc.co.uk/Pudsey. We'll have more Children in Need later when we'll be talking to Michael Ball about his involvement in the Sir Terry Wogan Fundraiser of the Year Award. It was all going too smooth, wasn't it, John?
Yeah, but I love
You
it.
do so well. Honestly, God.
It was all going so
Alex
well.
is on the couch at home going,
I know.
Jimmy, what have you done?
I was so looking forward to talk to Joanna. We're back on, all right. To talk to Joanna about her book.
Yeah.
It's an amazing book to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Yeah.
And you've been a huge fan of the Queen for so many years.
Forever and ever, since I was 7 years old, and we were out in Malaysia because my father was serving with the Gurkhas, and we heard the news that the King, George VI, was dead, the new Queen was on the throne, and then when the coronation happened, we sat in the classroom in Kuala Lumpur and looked at this black and white film of a place called Home, although we didn't know it was home because we didn't live there, nor did my parents live there, nobody lived there I knew, but it's called Home, and the streets were raining and the Queen was being crowned, and it was so thrilling, and I thought, she's just like a fairy princess, this is brilliant, well, a fairy queen, so gorgeous, since I was 7, slavish devoted.
It's actually like a wonderful collection of kind of like stories for people that have been around her. You know, it's a different angle. What would be kind of some of your favourites?
Like a kind of bouquet, do you mean? I wanted it to be a bunch of stories. These are stories, memories from diaries or people who'd written accounts, or from people like Winston Churchill, through performers like Cliff Richard, right down to a little child waving a flag in New Zealand. Just a range of masses of different anecdotes about people who met the Queen and the impression, because we all kind of feel we know the Queen because she's so familiar to us. Her face is known from ever since we were children, and because I'm older than both of you, all you've ever known is the Queen.
Yes,
there's never been
true.
anybody else but the Queen, and that goes to the whole world. Suddenly when you meet her, you have an absolute jolt, you can't believe it. But I just wanted something to say thank you, Your Majesty, for being just such a huge superstar for all of our lives and being who you are. So it was a collection of all these stories put into a book and sort of made into chapters, and me introducing it and doing all the bits. I'm the putty. Jermaine, I'm the putty in it.
Stick it together.
Yeah.
Is there a favourite in there for you? Like,
There are so many favourites, but there's one which stood out. Well, there were two which really stood out. One was about this extraordinary war correspondent called David Knott. He'd come back from Syria. He'd been in Aleppo, and it had been absolutely bloody. He was invited to a lunch with the Queen, where they have several people at lunch, and he was sitting next door to the Queen. And she said, you know, where have you just come back from? Aleppo. And she said, what was it like in Aleppo? And he suddenly found his memories were so awful that he knew he was going to cry. And so he just sat there with his lip trembling, and he just clammed up. The Queen noticed too much, put a little hand on his. And she quickly said to one servant who said, and there were some biscuits on the thing, she said, let's feed the dogs. And she snapped a biscuit in half, and underneath the table are always the corgis. And so she fed the corgis, and then she just talked to him about dogs, told them the names, told them the funny things. And at the end she said, there, that's better than talking, isn't it? So sensitive, not putting him through hell. I mean, that was enchanting. Then, of course, the story which we all know so well, and John, you'll remember this, which was when the Queen jumped out of the helicopter at the beginning of the Olympics. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Literally, you go, is that? So they had the stories told by Sebastian Coe and Danny Boyle and all the people who'd rigged it up. Complete secrecy. Kept a secret from the whole family, had the cocktail dress made for the stuntman, Gary Conroy, and up they went, and the Queen apparently jumped off and flew down. It was just too thrilling for words. Yeah. Prince Charles apparently went, oh my God, it's the woman who looks like the Queen. It's not, it's her. And the two boys, the two young princes were there. Oh, look at this.
So good.
Anyway, there she is with Daniel Craig, for goodness sake.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
No, you're telling me she did jump out that
She
helicopter?
literally did.
No, she never.
She did. No, that was a stuntman, John.
Right, I was going to say I respect her, but now I was off the scale. She does it all stunts. I didn't even do that on Doctor Who.
When she jumped, the two boys shouted, "Go, Granny!"
Oh, love it. John, you've met the royals a few times now, haven't you, as well? Is it a nerve-wracking experience?
It's a funny thing because, to be honest with you, I think the idea of royalty is bonkers. You know what I mean? If you started a country, you wouldn't have a royal family. But it's part of our tradition, it's part of our history, and you end up with this family who didn't choose, to be born into the tradition that they've got. They get given it, and how they handle it is up to them as individuals. And I think anybody, whether you're a royalist or not, everybody respects the Queens. And I think the royals that I've met as individuals, I've only met them in charity context. They've taken the position that they've got and tried to do something good with it, and certainly with there, I don't think there's anybody who can doubt their commitment.
Definitely. Well, Joanna, thank you very much for sharing those stories. I'm sure the book's going to be incredible. Joanna's book, A Queen for All Seasons, is out on Thursday. And if you've met the Queen, then we'd love to hear your stories and see your photos as well. So please do send them in. Still to come, Michael Ball needs your help, and he'll be telling us why later. Now, this time next week, world leaders will be arriving in Glasgow for COP26 to discuss the big change needed at government and industry level to tackle climate change. Of course, what world leaders decide at COP will have the biggest impact on our planet, but we can all play our part too. That's why we're asking you to get involved in our One Change for Our Planet vote, where you tell us what changes you might be willing to make to reduce your carbon footprint and protect the environment. In a special series of films, we're outlining 20 changes to your everyday life recommended by experts that could make a difference. And later on in the week, we'll be asking you to consider all the changes on the list and vote for the ones you feel you most want to try. We've already taken a look at travel, green spaces, and the energy used in our homes. And tonight, Nikki Fox goes shopping.
Many of us are guilty of buying the odd thing we don't need. But how often do we think about what we buy, where we buy it, and the impact that has on our carbon footprint and therefore our planet?
I don't really think too much about the environment when I'm buying clothing.
Actually, I don't think about it, and I probably should.
If I see something I will like it, I will get it.
From manufacturing and assembly to shop floors and delivery, there are many ways shopping contributes to carbon emissions. But experts have shared with us 4 ways we can do our bit to help reduce it. My shopping guide for the day is Sustainable Resources expert Dr. Teresa Dominic. Clothing and footwear accounts for around 26.2 million tonnes of the UK's carbon emissions every year. One of the worst offenders, fast fashion. Cheap, trendy, low quality. You know, the type of clothes we only wear once or twice.
Teresa, I've been guilty of fast fashion in the past, and here's a typical example.
The carbon footprint of this t-shirt can be quite high, so if it's a mix of cotton and polyester, we are talking about 3-4 kilograms of CO2.
Sustainable collections are now being offered from the big brands made with more recycled or natural fibres. But what more can we be doing, especially if money's tight?
The first thing is thinking about your consumption. Do you actually need to own so many clothes? And do you wear them enough?
Renting for clothes, is that a good idea? Is that the answer?
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. There's studies that say that you can reduce up to 50% your carbon impact on fashion by just renting clothes rather than buying them.
More new businesses are offering ways to rent clothes online and via smartphone apps. And don't forget, you can buy second-hand too. And get out your sewing kit to make do and mend.
I wouldn't be opposed to hiring.
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable doing it. I'd try and get my stuff from charity shops.
It's not just clothing though. Experts say a growing problem is our thirst for the latest gadgets.
How big a problem are electronics to the planet?
A lot of the impacts are embedded in the manufacturing of the product, and you have no idea and very little information of how much energy and how much materials have been used to produce that smartphone or that laptop. So if you could make that phone last a bit longer, that means that you can save a fraction of those carbon emissions.
Most of us replace our smartphone every 2 years, and between mining all those precious metals, making it, and us using it, that's a carbon footprint of around 86 kilograms. That's about the same as 20 cotton t-shirts.
I think a lot of people do just get new ones because it's, I suppose, easier.
If I need a new phone, the first thing I will do is I'll ask my younger relatives if they've got an old phone.
It's not just what we buy that's a problem. It's how it gets delivered to us too. It's estimated around 80% of things that we buy online are delivered to us in vehicles that emit carbon. You can reduce the impact by waiting to order items and grouping them together, cutting emissions and packaging. Companies are looking to go greener, so look for those using electric vehicles and those offering delivery slots on vans when they know they'll be in your area. What about if you went and collected your items?
It might actually be better for the environment, but you have to make sure that you go to those collection points using low carbon transportation, so you can walk or you can cycle or you can take public transport.
When I do order clothes for myself, I go for the cheaper option. I'll wait a week if I have to. I try and collect, but unfortunately you can't always do that.
We've talked about our goods arriving, but what about where they've come from? Teresa's brought us to Susie's locally made skincare product business in East London. So where do you get all of the kind of raw ingredients?
That was a bit of a minefield initially, trying to find things that were sustainable and sourced in the UK, but I now work with a herbal farm in Wales where they grow their own herbs and make their own essential oils.
In complex supply chains, like for example skincare manufacturing happens in one country, then they are shipped to another country for packaging, and then they are shipped to the countries that consume them. So there's a lot of transport involved. If we buy locally, most of those carbon emissions, we will avoid them.
And there could be another benefit too. Compared to some countries, in the UK, our electricity is often produced from lower carbon sources.
I think the air miles issue is huge. Everybody should buy more locally.
I've got my mindset in what I need to get. I don't want to waste time to looking where you're from.
If it was manufactured locally, I'd rather buy it, but it would be down to cost as well.
So, for all those shopping lovers out there, that's 4 ways you can cut your carbon footprint. But do any of them appeal to you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nikki. We've got one more film to come out. That's all about the food that we eat. And remember, you can choose from any of the 20 options on the list when the vote opens later this week. Now, I've got to bring Michael Ball into the conversation. He's been patiently waiting, but joins us now. Michael, you're looking, aren't you, for nominations for Children in Need, Sir Terry Wogan Fundraiser of the Year Award. Do you want to tell us about it and how we can help?
That's right. So, since 2017, when Joanna actually presented the very first, we have the Sir Terry Wogan Fundraiser of the Year. And what we're looking for are people to nominate the people that they know who've made such a difference for children in need, who've raised money through being really creative or really weird or clever or dark, whatever. The people that Terry loved so much. And it's really easy to do. And I'm sure we all know of somebody and we think they deserve a bit of acknowledgement.
Michael, I think that's the point, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's not just about the amount of money that people are making, it's about the difference that they make.
That's absolutely right. So they could have made a few quid, they could have made hundreds, thousands, whatever. It's about that initiative and that creativity and that inspiration, because we see these people making money for children in need, and it inspires us to do something or to give. Yeah. So we want to acknowledge those people.
Yeah, Brett. So go on then, tell us how people can enter.
Really simple. You go to the website bbc.co.uk/pudsey. You'll find the nomination form as well as all the terms and conditions on there. The voting, though, the nominations, I beg your pardon, are closing this Sunday at 11 p.m. We launched it on my radio show 2 weeks ago. They're pouring in, but we want as many as we can possibly get. And we'll go through those. We'll get a final list of about 5, and then from that we'll choose the winner, and the winner will be presented on the actual night itself on the telly.
Love it, Michael. Thank you very much. Well, we've just got some time for some messages here. I've got one for both of you, actually. Comment for John from Jane Bradley on Twitter. Looking forward to seeing John Bishop in Doctor Who. I remember John when he was a medical rep coming to Sandwell Hospital before he was famous.
Yeah, I had another life. It's like you before you had your one-man show. You used to be a footballer.
You got it in. And a quick one for you, Joanna. I had a Purdy haircut like Joanna. I was 11, and I remember going into the hairdresser and asking just for that, and that was from Penny on Twitter.
Oh, Penny. I bet you look sweet.
It sounds like everybody wanted a Purdy haircut at one point in their
long
lives.
before you were born, darling.
Well, it looked great. I don't think it would have quite worked for me, but it looked great on you. Well, that's all we have time for this evening, so thank you to all of our guests. Thanks to Joanna, John and Michael. I've got Owen to Lucy. We'll be back tomorrow. Joined by Philip Lindsay and Singer Bevan Knight. See you later.